Ude Garami is a really efficient arm lock, and we're doing just the upward direction, okay? Again, there are a lot of ways to get them in here. We're just showing the basics. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to attack this arm on Eric here. Okay, a good way to start is from a side position. You can start from a top position like in a tate shiho or a mount position, but I'm just going to start here from the side because I can get more crank here, and it helps you learn the basics of it better. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to attack this arm. My elbow is really important. There are several key things that are going to be happening here. I'll point them out. The first one is the elbow in his neck, and this provides really a base, okay, an anchor to provide it in here, okay? If I just try to put my arm anywhere, I want to have this elbow in here tight, okay? Another really important thing is I want to control his wrist and control his elbow, and by doing so, control the shoulder, okay? Because this is an elbow lock and very much a shoulder lock as well. Okay, so you're going to be placing pressure on both the elbow and shoulder. Technically, it's an elbow lock, but you'll feel it in your shoulder as well, guys. Okay, so we're putting this elbow here, and I'm grabbing his wrist. And the other key feature is when I grab his wrist, I like to get his wrist here. I like to hook it, okay? Because that way I've got a good control of it. Now, some guys will grab this way, that's fine. But if he's got a slick arm in a no-gi situation, I might lose it too quick. So if I meat hook it like this, or actually hook it like this, with my thumb and fingers like that, I can catch it better. Okay, I'm just going to grab it right there at that point. See that? Okay, if you had a gi on, I'd be grabbing that. But there we've got that. Okay, here and here. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do with this hand, I'm going to slide it under, and when I do, I slide under and I grab my own wrist. So you see kind of a figure four situation here. Does everybody see that? Okay. Now, this is the basic configuration. Now, you can either grab your wrist like this, or you can meat hook it like this. I didn't do this because I can lever up better, okay? That just works for me. Work what's best for you. Okay, so here, slide in here, catch it. Okay, now, you can keep, a lot of people teach it where they keep the wrist on the mat. I like to lift it up slightly. And see, it's always starting to hurt it by doing that, okay? So, you know, you can do that, it works if you keep the wrist on the mat. But I like to lift it up, and as I do, I like to pull it in. Here's another key feature, I like to pull in on his wrist. Don't just leave it there. When I'm doing this, I like to crank it inward. See how I'm pulling in? And I'm driving my elbow into his head, into his neck, and I'm cranking up like this. So we're applying pressure here at this joint, we're applying a lot of pressure here at this joint. Okay? Now, when I'm actually applying it, we're working here and we're fighting here, I want to trap this, but before I really try to do a whole lot of stuff here, when I get my elbow, I want to try to slide this arm under if I can first. If I can slide this arm under, and when I'm actually applying it, we're working here, I'm working it, and I want to get it under here if I can first, and then I'll put it over. See how I'm doing this here? And I try this, and it does, he knows what's coming. He knows there's an arm lock coming. So if we're working here, and I kind of get my arm under it first here, and apply it over like that, see how it lays it? Just right over like it's a track, okay? And I put it there, elbow on the side, and I can crank it up like that, and there we have it. That's the basic configuration, okay? I'm going to show you, at this point, I'm going to show you two other configurations you might like from that basic way, okay? Here's another configuration that when you're grabbing here, and you might get a little more torque, instead of grabbing here, you might actually make a fist here. Like this. See how, like hammer down fist and crank up. And it doesn't take much of a pull to do that. You just lift there. It's very, very mechanically very sound. So I do this here. Can you really see that? Make a fist there. Now, this, I grab this and I've got a good handle here, and that's really a good one. But if that's not working, if you want to add a little more pressure, you can do this and crank it up even more. See how I'm doing that? And it's really starting to hurt right away, okay? Okay, another variation is if I grab both hands like this and I crank it out. I can crank it out like that. Not as efficient as this, not as efficient as this. But these are some ways to get into your Ude. But a good way to learn from the basics is from the side control position here, okay? All right, that being said, I'm here, make good contact. Now, I don't want to put all my weight on Derek. I don't want to lay on him because now I just don't have a lot of control over things. I want to have a good base. So no matter how I'm controlling him on the mat, I want to have a good solid base. So in this case, my knees are wide, my hips are quite low, and I've got a good solid base, all right? Now, to start the move, what I want to do, I want to grab this arm, and here's the finished product. Okay, here's the finished product. Grab here like this, and then crank upward. And it hurts. It hurts his elbow. It really hurts his shoulder. Okay, so that's the finished product, what we're going for. All right, but what we're going to do to start, everybody can start. So I'm low here like this. All right, now to get starting the move, I'm going to grab the wrist first, and as I do that, I'm just going to kind of hook under. So I'm just kind of just hook up and just lift it a little bit. Now, when I grab his wrist, I hook like this. Get a good strong hook like that. You can grab like that, you know, where you meat hook him. But if he's got no gi, his wrists are slick, he'll get away. If I get a good hook like this clamp hook like this, I can control him better, okay? All right, now here I'm going to start to move under his arm. You'll see that come into play in a minute. But right now, this hand here, my elbow is going to go right in his hip. Now that's an important place to wedge my elbow in his hip. Now, I'm using my elbow in his hip like we've worked Ude Garami from the top, where I'm going to use my elbow in the side of his neck. It creates a base. So here's a strong base if I do it in the upward direction. Here's a strong base if I do it in the lower direction. Okay? So I got to have that base to have there. Okay? That gives me a good place. I can really manipulate his elbow there. All right, so I've got it here. Now with the other hand, I'm going to scoop under, and as I do, I'm going to grab my own wrist. And this one I'll go ahead and meat hook because it gives me better leverage. So I just up there like this, and now when I do this, you see how he's really compromised here. And you don't have to lift very much, okay? Now, some people say keep his hand on the mat. If that works for you, fine. I like to lift it up just slightly and grab because it cranks his shoulder more. It really hurts more, actually. And when I do this, I'm going to lean backward into him, and I'm going to kind of lean back this way. See how I lean back a little bit? And I lift it up like this. So my hands will be like this, and I'll lean back a little bit like that. So you like that, and crank it up. Okay? And that hurts, okay? Now, to make it hurt even more, I'm going to grab his arm and pull it in a little tight. That tightens this up here. It hurts the elbow more. See, the angle is now kind of angling like this, so like this, and crank it, and it hurts a lot quicker. Yeah. Okay. If I leave it here, where it's straight out down like this, that'll hurt. But if you bend it in like this a little bit, it'll hurt him quicker. Okay. And the quicker I would give him to tap out, the better for me. So if you like this, slide under and crank it in, and there we go. Okay. His escape to get out of this is for him to power out. So a good way to keep him from powering out, okay, is when I do this, pull his arm in as tight as you can, okay? And that keeps him from powering out, because when he starts to power out, then I can crank him and it'll hurt him.
So what we're going to do is we're going to get in our same armbar lever position, but sometimes you don't always get that hook. Sometimes they have a really deep grip like this, and you have trouble getting your hands in. So what we're going to do instead is basically apply a bicep crush on it and make them let go or make them tap out from the crush. What's important to remember is I'm still putting my hand on the thigh over here, so I lock his elbow in, or if you've got a gi, you can also use it to keep that elbow locked in. I usually do the hip, okay?
Now I might add, guys, remember the hand that Derek's doing it in this case is left, but it's the one that's the nearest to Mike's legs. Okay, so if you think of it in those terms, in this case instead of left or right, the one closest to his legs, that's the one he's coming over, and his left hand is now anchoring on his thigh. So that's providing a good anchor, and it kind of traps the guy's arm. Okay.
Right. Okay. So the next step is I'm going to take my leg that's closest to his belt or his legs, and I'm going to drape it across, almost like I'm crossing, you know, my legs like this. But I'm going to put it down on his wrists. Okay. What this does is it starts compressing his elbow. Usually they'll let go at that point, and if he does, I just grab it and go for the arm lock. But if he's a tough guy, he'll keep those hands together, and you bring that through and just lean back a little bit, and that's where the crush comes from. Okay? Now, if he's especially tough, we'll pop this through and get that. Okay? Occasionally, he's super, super tough. You catch that, you roll to the side, bring this up, and then kick back towards his head. Okay? So first one, bring it down and just try and push down towards his chest and lean back. Okay? It'll either pop back or it'll tap. Okay? If you feel you need to, you can bring this up here and then just do that. And I'm not triangling to hold it, I'm triangling to push my leg down towards the mat. So once it comes up, you stomp your foot down and that gets the tap. Okay? And then if you really, really want to be mean about it, as soon as you catch this, you roll and then you bring this up and then kick back towards his head.
Now, by the way, he's coaching, but with his right hand, he'd have it controlling, you know, you'd be using your right hand to kind of have in there, so kind of show a little realistic like you'd be doing it.
Okay, so I'm coming through here, catch this, we can pop that through there and sit back, or I can catch through there and sit back, okay? If it pops free, boom, you've got the arm lock, okay? Likewise, if I'm here, coming through and it pops through, we're going through for arm locks here, okay? So you can also bring it up and pull through like this and then squeeze, or bring that through, squeeze, okay? Just remember, this foot controls the head until this foot comes over. If I try and do it this way, he sits up and now I don't have anything, okay? So always keep control of his head with this one until you bring it over. Then it's okay to bring it back down and stomp that foot down, because now I'm controlling his head as well as squeezing. Okay?